Well, before I release all three of you, I had conversations with you offline and whatnot, and I wondered if you had any insights or thoughts or opinions as to some of the reported, I don't know whether you want to call them inconsistencies or behaviors of the DA in Fulton County. That's within the scope of this committee's investigation. Any observations, thoughts, voluntary comments? I'm not going to provoke you or ask you to say anything or give you a leading question, but I thought this is your venue. If there's anything you'd want to add, Mr. Porter, you've been quoted in the Atlanta Journal on 2 or 3 things. I think the Young Slime Life case, some of the activities there, and of course we've had court opinions, and there's a pending court case on some of the, the relationship of Mr. Wade and Fani Willis. So I'm just curious if any of you as DAs have thoughts about the conduct in this particular county or other DA conduct that you think we need to consider legislation for.
Mr. Chairman, as sort of the senior person here, I worked with district attorneys in the state, not only as a fellow district attorney, but as a member of as a president of the District Attorneys Association and as a member of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council and the chairman of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council. And I can say from dealing with all of those prosecutors, almost, with the exception of a very few, that they fit into a simple mold, is that they are true believers. They work every day. They stay extra hours. They make do with less to prosecute people who commit crimes and hurt and steal from the people of the state. Now, to let the behavior of a few that may or may not be correct, it's, I think, to be determined from a legal standpoint. It certainly doesn't give an appearance that's great, but if it's proper legally, then that needs to change. But to let the behavior of those folks spread a stain across every prosecutor in the state, I think would be a huge disservice to folks like these folks. These are the younger generation, and these folks do the same thing. They're true believers, and they want to do right by the citizens of their county. And I just want to make that clear on the record.
Right.
And I think the other things that you mentioned, that's gonna roll out in the wash, and it will be either upheld or exposed, and I'm confident that the system is capable of doing that.
Okay. Marie, you got something?
Sure, I'll echo those sentiments, and I think one thing that I just want to make very clear to this committee and to anybody that's watching is I am proud to serve the citizens of the Griffin Judicial Circuit and their role as district attorney. It makes me proud because we do very difficult work. What people don't understand is that me and my staff see the worst of the worst on a daily basis. We see children that are brutally harmed. We see horrific murders. We see armed robberies, human trafficking, gang cases, gang violence that destroys communities. We see this and we confront it head on. And I cannot agree more with what you said, Danny. And just to echo this sentiment, there are most of us out here just keep our head down and do the hard work that we do every day. And I'm so appreciative of my staff, and I'm so appreciative of my DAs that serve alongside me. And even though, I'll say it again, even though we might be quiet, it doesn't mean that we don't care and that we aren't working. And I don't want this committee or the legislature or the public to lose sight of the very important work that we do. I really appreciate you allowing me to be here, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
All right. Barksdale.
I guess what I'll end with are 2 points. One, kind of piggybacking off what's already been said, the majority of the DAs are doing great work. I'm not going to talk about specifics, but I will tell you this. I've been DA for 3.5 years, and in that 3.5 years, I've seen Republicans and Democrats alike do questionable things. And where we are right now as a profession of 50 DAs, 50 prosecutors, is we've got the public looking at us with a jaundiced eye at times. And it's not fair to the majority of us that are trying our very best to do what we can to keep our community safe. The climate that we are in right now, it makes it difficult at times to get the resources that we need, because we have committees like we are sitting in right now testifying about different things. I've had conversations with representatives and senators that seem apprehensive about giving us more resources when we desperately need them because of some of the questionable things that they've seen. I don't know what's true and what not's true, but I do know this. I open up the AJC and I hear quotes about rogue prosecutors. And as somebody that spent my entire career working for the people of Middle Georgia in the Okmulgee Judicial Circuit, it infuriates me. The last thing I'll tell you, this committee, is we need your help. We need your help making sure that we've got guidelines in place and so forth. But Georgia, and I'm partial here, and I think we all agree on this, is a lot better than Alabama and a lot better than Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida. We have got to support these offices. We have got to do it. You've heard of the complexities of our budgets and how I've got 8 counties, and you've heard from Danny Porter about a metro office. Everything comes back to one thing. We have got to be more competitive. We've got to have the funding to do this work. And as always, we appreciate everything that each one of you do for the people of this state. And if there's anything that I or my colleagues can do to help make this a better place to live, please call us.
Senator Jones, you're recognized. Any follow-ups?
Mr. Chair, I have a follow-up. Just a quick point. I want to thank everybody for coming. But I would also say this, that no matter what the size of your office is, most likely within your area, whether we're talking about within Gwinnett or Fulton or your area, you guys are basically, so to speak, managing partners of probably the largest law firm within your county. But you have the most important business of any of those law firms. And that we definitely want to make sure that we continue to support you. And I don't think people look at it that way. You have all these different law firms and things. They have the largest law firms probably in every single county that they're in, with the most support staff, most attorneys, but they have the greatest job, which is protect the citizens of the state. And no one should be looking down upon prosecutors or DAs or solicitors. I always have affinity for solicitors about anything that's been in the news for any particular reason, because you guys could do this for much more based on your experience and what you're doing, what you bring to the table. And the same thing goes for your staff, because quite frankly, no lawyers out there have the kind of trial experience that a prosecutor is going to bring to the table. So everybody that is doing that for the right reason. And I did want to bring that out. And because when you mentioned that you sometimes looked at with a jaundiced eye, I can tell you this much: as far as this former prosecutor is concerned in state senate, there's no jaundiced eye. And whatever I can do to make sure to continue that, I certainly would do that. I want to thank you for your time.